and welcome back to this week's Sobar social show. Our new routine is interviewing artists one-to-one over Zoom, just to try and find out more about them, their work, their output, their recovery, if it's relevant to them, and just to find out more about the artists in our community and how they tick. So without further ado, we're going to talk to Stuart the Recovery Poet, live from Loughborough today. Welcome, Stuart the Recovery Poet. Thank you very much for joining us and spending the time.
No worries. Thank you very much for the invite.
No worries, Ross. Are you well today?
Yeah, I am good. I am good today. You know, every day's a joyous day when you don't wake up and walk out the door and knowing you're going to get a drink or a drug. So, Gratitude fills my heart today.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. Okay, cool. Well, let's start with what we're here to do, just discussing your work. And you're a published author, you're a poet, you're a performer, but it wasn't always that way, was it, Stuart? What kind of brought you to that creative output, please?
Truth and honesty. Before I actually started writing what I call proper poetry, I suppose, all my writing was just basically little things in birthday cards and Christmas cards and Valentine's cards, just trying to get on the best side of the ex-wife and stuff, you know.
Had a purpose.
And I used to make parodies up of songs. If I heard a song, I could hear it, and automatically in my head I'd change the words, and so I suppose it just come from that. But then later in life, when I went into treatment, into the Carpenters Arms rehab, I took a book in with me, and basically I was going to write my rehab down. It was going to be like a journal, but I started being taught about the Bible and stuff, and stuff just started coming out in poetry. Instead of me writing, I was reading stuff and all my past experiences of addiction. Mm-hmm. Instead of it coming out in journal form, I just found I wrote a poem, and then I wrote another, and then before long, it just became a thing. If I ever normally go and do any poetry I always start off with this one, because it just tells you everything that we need to know about life and addiction. And so this poem is called Hardcore Addiction. I want to talk about addiction and the kind of stops your breathing. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about addiction and the kind of gets your wife and kids to leaving. And let me tell you about addiction, kind of makes you suicidal, for addiction is a war zone as you're fighting for survival. And let me tell you about addiction and the kind that's taking parents from the kids, for yeah, addiction is a killer that's placing loved ones on the lids. And addiction is a taker, it will never let you win. The crack pipe, the beer can, digging with a pin. Crack house and homeless in the alleyways of dealing. And addiction is insanity that will take away your feelings. And the one brown, two white, sniffing Charlie, then you're hooked. Men are dying from addiction, pretty girls are being robbed of all the looks. Breakfast bowls are used for ashtrays, moulds growing in the cups, whilst mama's in the bathroom throwing up her guts. Daddy's in his armchair, drinking, chuffing on the weed. Baby's crying for its nappy chain, hungry for its feed. And neighbours call a social and send them to the door, because the house is just a pigsty and there's crap all on the floor. But the addicts come to go because there's dollar to be made, and police rock up with a door ram shouting it's a raid. And it doesn't stop them using even though the kids are gone, because compulsion and obsession keep the using going on. And parents always scoring, grafting, robbing from the shops, town centre curfews, running, hiding from the cops. Now mama's doing favours just to get a fix, whilst daddy's in a big house serving on a six. Rehabs and probation, he's placed on DROs, stops him on the brown but the beer and spirits flow. Slumped in the toilets with his head in the urinals, another addict dead, because yes, that lad last hit made it final. So another addict bagged means another brother in the chiller, and a recorded accidental death, but addiction was the killer. And the reaper counts of bodies whilst the coffin maker counts it taking, and all up and down the country families' hearts are breaking. But another addict's death won't stop the drug abusing, for addiction and denial keep the sufferer addict using. And shaking in the morning, sweating in the beds, alkies running from the past and the voices in their heads. And the beer is in the blood and the drugs are in the vein, and it doesn't matter what the poison, because the addict's name's still the same. He's a dropout, scumbag, dirty stinking thief, baghead, crackhead, rhyme, robbing, cheat. Started with a few lines in the clubs, pubs, bars, now he's drunk and suicidal, sleeping in his car. Wife and kids are gone now, job and house stolen by the coke. Yeah, this is the true nature of addiction, you know what, it ain't no laughing joke. And mums are looking ill while dads are emaciated, and kids are being bullied in the schools, tears running down their faces. Clucking on loose sentence, again rattling in his cell. Heaven's not a crap part, and smacks a living hell. Pin-cushion body parts, neck growing feet, hostels, flat clash, sleeping on the streets. Families make decisions on burials or cremation. Addiction is a killer that's sweeping through our nation. Though it isn't just the addicts that suffer this affliction, because you know what, everybody suffers when we're faced with hardcore addiction. Thank you. You know, I've got faith in God today, and what I always say now is, you know what, God will never let anything go to waste. You know, he'll always use for his good. And, you know, some of the stuff that I used to write before, like with the songs and that, they probably are not very savoury for
public consumption as such. You won't be performing
today,
on the stage,
you know
perhaps.
some choice words and behaviours in there. But, you know, and so today, you know, I just feel that, you know, maybe recovery and God are using this gift that I've probably always had, but for a greater purpose today, to give a message and spread a message, you know, and that's basically where the gifting came from, you know, and it just got born through treatment. And
so it sounds like putting down, obviously you've always had that predisposition, but putting down the things that were potentially stopping that expression was a key for you to be able to do what you're doing now.
I mean, just with the encouragement that I got in there, it was very sort of like apparent right from early on that, you know what, other people were getting stuff out of that.
Yes,
you know,
connecting.
And if I sort of like work on the premises of how I do my life today, with my walk through my faith, but then also in recovery, you know what, the therapeutic value of one addict helping another. You know what I mean? And I'm reading this poetry to people, and they're saying, wow, and we're getting identification, which is how recovery works. Hello, this is called We Don't Have to Die. I snorted powder and I popped the pill, and I drank beer every day, but that made me ill. And I sniffed the glue, and yes, I shared a line, but I became an addict, addicted over a period of time. Because addiction is cunning, powerful, progressive, it's compulsive, a sentence, and it is obsessive. And I dabbed the bass and I smoked the weed, but the more stuff that I took, the more stuff I would need. And the fun and laughter at first with the clubs and the raves, and I was an addict so young, and I never knew that I was digging a grave. And full of bravado, a weekend offender from Thursday to Sunday, but the fear of the real world when I woke up again on the Monday. And a Monday promise to self of never again, but Wednesday it comes, and so planning some more of the same. And running and ringing and running around to pick up your bits, the coke and the pills, the weed and the trips, and popping the doves and dapping the tabs, and these are probably some of the best times that I've ever had. But I never knew what would be the cost until later in life I would find out through the pain and the loss. And I can't blame the substances, because that would be shifting the blame. And the truth is, at 12 years of age and that first sniff of glue, that made Addict my name. I'd dance after the music had stopped, and when the pubs and the clubs shut the doors, and when the people went better to work, I always had to have more. And I partied alone, and I've laughed and I've cried, because I couldn't stop, because I got addicted and I nearly died. Addict is what became of me, but today I found a new life, and today I am free. But still, I remember the times and the memories I've made, some I want to learn from and never repeat, and some I'll cherish and save. But an addict addicted is not how I live today, because I have faith in a program, and I follow and pray. So if you can relate, and with my story you identify, then reach out for help, because we don't have to die.
Yeah, when you performed at Sobar, you know, I think you performed a couple of times now, and everyone's blown away. And a few people, I know one guy who is a published author, writer, long history, was really intimidated going up after you because you were so mind-blowing and you connected so much with the audience. Really, he's a lad I know, I won't go into it, but yeah, you said after, you know, I struggled to get up there after Stuart because I was so blown away and connected. And he said, you know, that you came across with intensity and an ease, because I noticed it as well. So do you have any kind of pre-stage preparations? Do you have any kind of ways and means to overcome stage fright or anything? Because you just seem so at ease when you're doing what you're doing, yet intense at the same time.
Prayer and lots of trips to the toilet.
Okay.
I'll encourage anybody, if I've ever been asked to speak anywhere, whether it be Sobar, and a few of the other places that I've spoke at, Recovery Week in Leicester, and all these other places that I've done, and up in Sheffield, preaching at church, you know what, I'd encourage anybody to keep an eye on me before I'm going up.
Yeah.
And for the first 30 minutes leading up to me actually getting up there, you'll tell how nervous I am with the amount of toilet visits.
Okay. Cool.
Because that, you know, I'm constant. I do get nervous. But I always say that, you know what, if I'm not nervous and I'm thinking I've got this, then I'm not doing it. I'm doing it in my own strength, and I'm not doing it in the strength of my high power. And then that can become sort of like, for me, I'll only ever speak for me, that can become dangerous territory to me, because then I'm moving in the realms of ego and stuff, and I have to watch that stuff. This poem's called Human Addict, and it's inspired by the fact that, you know what, we're not having fun out there, you know. Addicts and alcoholics, you know, we're dying. And it's just how society sees us and visualises us, you know what, and I think they forget that we suffer from an illness. I think most of the thing they forget is that we're still human. We're still human. So this is called Human Addict. You call me a scumbag and you call me a thief, but do you not see all this pain that I'm in and this man underneath? And you call me an addict and you call me a drunk, but can you not see the dark depths of my life to which I have sunk? See, before I had a life and a family, and by them all am I missed. And do you really think I like this life of addiction and every day being drugged up and pissed? I don't want to be robbing your houses and stealing from you. In fact, I hate myself in addiction and all these things that I do. And I'm tired of the fighting, the scamming and doing times in the nick. And it's no fun having the shakes in the morning and seeing all the blood in my sick. And I don't want to be injecting myself, drinking and shoving drugs up my nose. And do you really think I like sleeping rough on the streets and wearing dirty torn clothes? And can you not see the state that I'm in and my state of appearance in health? I hate this disease of addiction. Slowly I'm dying. Can't you see that I'm killing myself? See, I was young when I started. I was scared. I was just a young kid. And I was bullied and abused as a child. And a life in addiction, that is where I have hid. And alcohol numbed the pain and the drugs took the hurt straight away. But then soon addiction, it grabbed me, and then I needed them every day. And my whole life's been a struggle, for I've never known who I should be. And I've spent my whole life in a prison, but the prison was in me. And I'm not looking for pity, because I know sometimes life it's not fair. But I'm only asking you to see me as human. Maybe then you will care. See, I've spent my life in addiction, and to the authorities, I'm just a number and name on a file. And I'd love to laugh like you all do. In fact, I'd love to be happy and be able to smile. But every day inside I'm crying because I'm so scared, because I've had to harden my shell. For you have to fight for your worth when your life's in addiction and you're living in hell. But today, I'm not just talking about me, but how each and every addict has felt. But to take the drink and drugs away from the addict, we need your support and your help. So take all the substances away and then see what you have left. A recovering addict with passion, saving others from death. So please, before you pass on your judgment and you hand me my shame, please just look past my life in addiction and come on, ask me my name. And if God can forgive and break me free from my chains, then who are you to condemn me and refuse to help me to change? And if God can forgive and transform and help me be free, then why can't you see past all my afflictions and really see me?
So just now, we mentioned before that you're a published poet, you've got your book, you know, Coffee and Cake. How did that come about? Because it's one thing performing on stage in a kind of nice, friendly environment like this. It's another thing exposing yourself to thousands of people in the written format. How did that come about?
I wrote so much stuff. I'm constantly writing
Right.
Constantly writing.
Good
You
man.
know, and I just started getting, like I said, I started getting encouraged into his arms. You know what I mean? And I can remember sitting there and somebody just saying, "Oh, you know, you ought to do a book." And this was very, very early on in my recovery. You know, and I just went, "Yeah, whatever." As things started going on and more poems coming, you know, I was just like, wow, maybe it might be something. And then it got to, oh, I don't know, can't even remember when it got published. That's how good I am. I don't even know when it got published.
You've done a lot in
It
between,
was
that's
like,
why.
because I had the other one published first, because I've got the other one, His Words, My Pen, which is my faith-based stuff. And
Ah,
then
no, I've
I've
not
got
seen
the
that one.
Recovery Poet, Coffee and Cake, which is my recovery stuff.
Right.
So I kind of like honoured God first, and I got the faith base and the Christian stuff out first, and then we're doing the recovery thing. But what it were, I got all this poetry, and I'd had that many people over the years that I'd been performing in places saying, "We're going to help you do this, going to help you do that," and nothing really came of it. And then you know, I had so many people say they were going to do this, and I was just like, yeah. And then it got to a point, Jason, where I just sat there, and you know what, I'm a praying man. You know, a lot of my stuff is focused on God. And so I'm sat there with God and I'm saying, look, God, what's happening? All these people keep turning around and saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And no one's doing jack crap. No one's doing nothing. And I just heard clear as can be in my spirit, well, what are you doing?
Boom. Okay. Yeah.
Just sat here waiting for everybody to come and do everything for you. You know, where's your action? And I'm like, well, I wrote the thing. And he went, well, yeah, so it's up to you to put action in and get it out. And I kept passing some shop in Havant over here. It's called it's the Old Curiosity Bookshop.
Okay. Yep. Know well.
It's a lovely little shop, little cake shop as well, tea rooms and stuff. And I kept going past, and every time I kept going past, I kept like my focus was being drawn to it, and I kept hearing like book publishing, and I'm like, what's going on? And then one day I just stopped. I thought, what's? And I just looked at the shop, and then I seen it on the window, and it said book publishing. So I went over to see the woman, and I just inquired about this book publishing, and she told me that yeah, she publishes books, she does all the layouts and stuff, and it gets published through an international publisher, and I just pay her a fee. She sorts everything out, and basically Little Nell Publishing it is.
Okay.
At the Old Curiosity Bookshop. I gave her all my manuscripts. I just, boom, loaded all the poems up that I wanted, put it on a flash drive, took it into her. She sorted all the book out, sent me a proof copy, boom, 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 boom. And then she's that right. Next meeting, now I've got a book coming through the door. And, you know, it was
wild,
just,
man.
Just absolutely immense. It was very an emotional time.
I bet. So, what would you say, just an emotional time for you there? Because obviously that's just a comma in your sentence at the moment about, you know, your sentence is ongoing. But what would you say to someone who was in a similar boat to you, you know, before you found treatment, but, you know, obviously had that creative tip, who had that leading towards that expression? What would you say to them?
I got told when I was in treatment, yeah, right, because the person, one of the directors that runs the Carpenters Arms, they wrote and released a book, and we knew about that. And I can remember saying to the other director, Brian Spence, he was giving me my meds one morning, and I just said to him, I'm thinking of writing a book of my poetry. Have you got any suggestions? And at the time, I thought he was quite blunt in his reply, and a bit rude way he answered. But then yet again, I was only probably like 2.5 months into treatment and still very immature.
I'm very vulnerable.
Probably about 15 years of it. I went in at 12 years of age, and I was about 15 then.
Okay. You know, none of us handles blunt information well at 15. No.
And so he just said, keep writing. And I went, yeah, but anyway, I've just told you, keep writing. Just keep writing. And I was like, wow, a bit rude. And I walked out. as I sit here today, it would have probably the best advice he could have given me. Just keep writing.
And
Just
that's
keep
what you'd
writing.
say to that was you'd say to Stuart 6 years ago.
Just keep writing. And also, I had a lad, funny enough, say to me just about 2 weeks ago, he says, I'd love to write poetry. He says, but I can't. And I went, have you got a pen? And he went, yeah. I said, have you got some paper? And he went, yeah. I said, have you got a heart? And he went, yeah. I said, you can write poetry then. As long as you've got a heart, as long as you've got a pen and paper, you can write poetry.
Brilliant.
It ain't got to be poetry in motion, but poetry.
Yep.
Whatever your art's saying, get it out, get it onto paper. And for me, my writing, it ain't just about the poetry in that. It's about getting what's in my heart, out my heart.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, a lot of this stuff in the Recovery Poet, there's a lot of pain in there.
Yeah, there is, man.
Pain, but there's a lot of healing. I've cried tears over that stuff while I've been writing it. I've ripped papers up and I've chucked it across the room because of the identification of the stuff that I've done, the stuff that I've lost.
And the emotional content
there.
there.
The
Wow.
So
yeah,
I'd encourage anybody, get a pen, get some paper, touch your heart, and just keep writing. Hello, this poem's called The Party's Over, and it's inspired by one of my mates in recovery who said that line to me one day, the party's over. And not long after that I ended up writing this, and it's just a quick journey through my using and to coming to the acceptance that the party's over. So, hardcore raver, drinking drugs, 80s, 90s football thug, gifted a gab virginity stealer, face about town, party time dealer, designer clothes with a wide boy swagger, pub tarts knickers off full-time blagger, pill popping acid dropping young weed smoker, piss taking street fighter, cheeky lad joker, sofa surfer floor sleeper, tit nip sucker, bouncer talking fearless, cocky little, dance tents, dance clubs, white cloth doves, microdots purple on, loved up doves, smart dress face straight, beginning of the night, no pool, no sex, starting effing fight, Malfi, Ralphie's, Timberland Lacoste, pissed up, drugged up, could not give a toss, stand up merchant, girl heartbreaker, whiz dick can't come, orgasm faker, big fish, little fish, cardboard box, cocaine base tab, whiz upon the rocks, get up, work hard every single day, graft hard, party hard, how I used to play, 80s, 90s, how my life would run, laughing and the joking when it was just a fun, chilling the come down the morning's aftermath, but these are all my memories from when it was a laugh, a young kid carefree, wild boy rover, lights out, book closed, because I got addicted, so for me the party's over. Thank you. I know a couple of people that are still in the madness that write, and there's some deep stuff that comes out. I mean, we've set up I set up a couple of writing groups. I think one of them's still going, the other one just didn't quite take off. And if I'm practicing honestly, I could have put a bit more effort in myself, to be fair, but
acknowledge that.
I was getting more and more busy in other parts of my life. But we got the I do believe we were going to be having a bit of a poetry off at one point, I think.
We were. Unfortunately, a global pandemic got hold of that one for us. So, it was going to be you guys versus the Do or Die Poets, or with the Do or Die Poets.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to that.
They've released a book now, the Freedom Writers over in Leicester under Dear Albert,
Yeah.
And we set that up. And that, for me, that was just the epitome of why I write, because I seen people come into there completely broken. There's a chap that came into that group completely broken, alcoholic. Kept coming back. An amazing poet.
Wow.
Funny. The man should be on stage, I'm telling you. He should be on stage. Proper gritty northern stuff, funny
Let's get his details sent over to me.
I'm now it's in there, I'm doing it. And it needs to be heard, so he's amazing. And basically, his name's John. And he went into treatment, and that chap is now running that group.
Wow, okay.
That's recovery.
Massive. Yes. And recovery through the creative output and the written word.
100%. And the amount of people I see come into this, have seen come into that room that have never really picked a pen up and stuff. And you know what? I've laughed, I've cried, I've snotted snotting there through what people
The
have wrote.
emotion of it all.
I had a bloke come in once, and he said that he'd got encouraged to come. He didn't really want to come, and then he came back the week after, and I just completely. I'm a real blubberer, me.
Good man.
Touch my heart, and I'm just gone. I'm.
Yep.
And he says, you know what? He says, I come last week. He says, and I've come again this week. He says, and before that, he says, it was the first time I'd been out my flat in about 4 months because I really isolate. He says, and I didn't think I'd be coming back. He said, but you all made me so much welcome, and I didn't realise how much freedom I'd get through the pen. This poem's called No Good Just By, and the reason it's called that is because there can be no good in a relationship with my addict, with my alcoholic, with my addiction. So it's just goodbye. It's just bye. No good, just bye. It's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, and that's come to accept that I can no longer live with you. See, you're beating me down and you took control, and you've broken my heart and you blackened my soul. We've been together for years and years, but I've had enough now. Please, please, no more tears. And you see, the too many times that we tried to change and just round and round in circles, it would always be back here again. And yes, I can remember the laughs and all the things that we've done, but in truth, these latter years, you know what, it weren't a laugh and it weren't much fun. And I cannot believe at times that I chose you over the important things and believing in your lies and the truth that you said it would bring. And even when I was broken, I was laid out on the floor, I'd always turn to you and I'd beg, and you know what, you always gave more. And when I was down, it was you that was always real nice. But in reality, it was you who gave me my problems and this killer vice. See, years ago we started out as just a harmless fling, but then you wanted all of me, and yes, I gave you almost everything. And I know together we have no future, and for a while I need to be alone. Because yes, I am sorting my life out, but only, you know what, this time on my own. And it's going to be hard to forget you, because you're everywhere that I look. You're on television, in magazines, papers, sides of delivery trucks. And in everyday life, it'll be you that I see. Because you're in the supermarket and the corner shops, it's almost like you're following me. You see, this really hurts. Because of a split, you know what, I'll have to lose some good friends. But that is a price that I'll pay, because there's a means to this ends. And yes, it's true, you've taken me to places that I never would have seen. But you've also taken me to places that I never should have been. And I had love, real love. But you hardened my heart because you didn't know what it meant. Because you see, your idea of love is vile, twisted and bent. And I wish I would have woke up sooner and seen you for what you really are. I could have saved all this pain. I should have never let us get this far. And I'm not sorry. I ain't sorry, because I can't cry tears for you anymore. You don't care how I feel. But you know what, I can still hear you calling me. But do one, because you know what, I won't answer you, because this is my time to heal. And without you, I know I have a future. And you know what, I know I can live. And I want nothing from you, because in fact, you've got nothing to give. And I'm going to walk away from you. And yes, I'm going to do it with some pride, because you haven't got a hold on me anymore. Why should I be ashamed? Why should I have to hide? Because this time I'm going to fix me, and no more papering over the cracks. Because without you, I can move forward and never needing to look back. And you're not worth my breath. You don't even deserve a goodbye. For I nearly took my whole life, and you was the whole reason into why. And you had the power to make me look and feel happy when in reality inside I was sad. And you made me finance it all with every last penny that I had. Oh, and these last years they were so painful and dark. Why did you have to push me so far from all those fun-loving days, just having a laugh with the lads in the clubs and the bars? And we can't ever be together, and I can never again be your friend, because you are my poison, and your poison's my end. But you know what, you'll find someone else, and I know that you will. Sweet talking again, with drink powder and pill. So don't ever come calling, looking for the reasons to why. Just please understand that it can never be good. So this is just bye. Thank you.
Wow. And that's what it takes, isn't it? That one, you know, that might be just a pen to some people, but it's a weapon in recovery, isn't it?
Oh,
you know, for those
100%.
predisposed. Just to move on to recovery again, obviously, you know, you're kind of Loughborough based, but now I've heard so much about the Carpenters Arms. Can you tell me a bit more about that? What it is, how it works?
Yeah, well, Carpenters Arms, it's a Christian rehab, and there's 3 different phases. We were up until just now a male rehab.
Oh, okay.
But exciting news for anybody out there in recovery, and I will shout this as loud
You're
as I
listening,
need.
everybody.
September, new female rehab opening up. Carpenters Arms female rehab, very needed in this country.
Oh God, yeah.
So if you know anybody, any females that need treatment, any family members that know any females that need treatment, contact the carpentersarms.org, or just call in 01509 767 550.
And when we edit it, we'll try and get those numbers up and get that information up on the screen as well, so people can see it. Just to make sure. That's massive news.
I'll try and email you the web address as well.
Yeah, everything sent over, mate. That'd be brilliant, because that's huge. That is huge. Obviously now recovery, rehab. Back when I was working more involved in the drug treatment, you could throw a stone to hit a residential rehab. Now they're pretty much non-existent, which kind of moves on to your new charity. You've set a charity up, haven't you?
I have.
Can you tell us more about that?
I'd like to show it.
Man, crack on. Ah, brilliant. Nice logo, man. Cool. Yeah. So tell us, obviously, for people that can't see directly into that, or if reading is not the first thing for them, so funding addicts into recovery, FAIR, which is your new charity.
Yes, and it's been a long road.
I bet. Tell us all about it, man.
Baby. It's still a baby. We're just in the early stages. We're making connections, but it's a thing. It's a body. It's got legs.
Brilliant.
We're just teaching it how to walk now. And the ethos of it is, it was a vision from the big fella upstairs, and he basically showed me every recovering addict, every recovering alcoholic, raising £1 for those that are still in the madness. And that's all going into a national funding pot, So services across the country can access that, so we can start funding people into private detoxes and getting them into treatment centres a lot quicker.
That's mind-blowing, man, because obviously the big struggle now is because the spaces are so rare and prices are at a premium, people are getting knocked back left, right and centre. And it's no individual system's fault as such, but the overall system is kind of built against residential treatment. So that's massive.
And once again, that's why I see this working, because it's working on the ethos of the fellowships, really, in the fact that we are going to apply for funding. We'll take donations. We'll take £1 from anywhere. Yes. But we're going to be out. We're going to be jumping out of aeroplanes, shaving our heads, doing fun runs. We're going to be doing anything to raise £1, because we want to be self-supporting as well. I've seen far too many people left high and dry because funding's been cut.
Yep. And also, sometimes in regional situations, like Nottingham used to have the Priory, for example, and other bits and bobs around. But now, I think only Studio House left, really, as any kind of residential supportive unit in Notts. So that's, and we're a big city.
Oh, massive. And the problem's massive.
Oh, God, yeah. I always find it in certain cities that the amount of drug users is reflective of the amount of drug dealers. And we've got a lot of drug users. So you can then, you can imagine how many drug dealers we've got. Do you know what I mean? The infrastructure behind that. So someone fighting that fight and getting people into treatment, amazing. Absolutely amazing work, man.
Yeah. Well, what do I do? I tell you, why do I do what I do today? Because, I live, breathe, eat and poo this stuff.
Yeah, man.
And I do.
Sounds it, looks it.
And why? Because, it's for the hate of addiction and the love of recovery. Because I know what addiction tried to take from me. Mm-hmm. I know what it took from me. It took my wife, it took my child, it took my house, it took everything. And one of the poems that I wrote is called Last Breath. And the last lines of that just sum addiction up for me. You know what? I screamed with my arms open wide that I've got nothing left. And my addict, he looked back at me and he said, well, then I'll take your last breath.
I looked at my addict and I asked him just why. Did you have to break all the pieces and leave me with tears in my eyes? I looked up at my addict because I was down on my knees, begging and pleading, please, please let me go free. I have nothing left and have no more to give. Have you not took enough? Please just let me live. My marriage you took, my wife and my boy. You took all of my happiness and a heart filled with joy, self-respect and self-worth, and my appearance and health. You broke me that much, I couldn't even sit with myself. And you gave me a heart that was cold like a stone, a heart full of self, where my pity made home. A life running on empty and my tank had run dry, and the world was like a hard shoulder, with life passing me by. And I looked at my addict with my arms open wide. I said, you've took all I've got and there's nothing inside. I screamed at my addict, I have nothing left. And my addict looked back at me and said, then I'll take your last breath. That's addiction.
Yeah. Yep.
It's addiction.
Very true.
So I know what addiction tried to take off me. I know what my addict wanted off me, you know. And I've been at the Carpenters Arms 5 years. I'm leaving next month.
Okay.
I'm leaving 5 years to the day. I went in on the 17th of August 2015, and I'll be leaving on the 17th of August 2020. 5 years to the day.
Wow.
I'm going to get a clean test because every year I turn up at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock on the 17th, and I press the buzzer and I go in, I get a clean test, and I've got them all up there, look.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll be, God willing.
Yep.
It's a 24-hour-a-day program. As long as I do what I do today, obviously I'll get another day clean tomorrow and keep doing that, and I'll get 5 years, you know. But why do I do what I do today? I'll tell you why I do what I do today and why all this is. Because I seen a lad come from Nottingham prison a couple of few years ago, yeah, right? And I'm going to try and do this without getting emotional. I've just told you that I'm a brother.
I can't guarantee that myself, so, you know.
Right? I seen a lad come into the Carpenters Arms straight from Nottingham prison a few years ago, yeah? Completely broken. Right? He wanted nothing to do with God. He really wanted nothing to do with recovery because he didn't understand it. All he wanted to do was get clean, he said. And every time I used to speak to him about God or recovery, he used to say, leave me alone, Stuart. This lad's from Beaumont Leys, yeah, right, in Leicester. Right? This lad got banned from every single shop in the UK for prolific shoplifting.
Wow.
Yeah. He was the biggest drug dealer on the Beaumont Leys estate.
Says a lot.
Right? I watched this lad grow, yeah. Here we go. Here it comes.
Yeah, now I can feel it off you from the screen.
I've watched this lad grow. Yeah. I've watched this lad get a relationship back with his kids. I've watched this lad get a relationship back with his mum. Yeah. I've seen him come through the program. He's now a staff member. And I listened to that man who got plucked out of the middle of the Beaumont Leys estate, being the biggest dealer on that estate, to last night giving his testimony and his story on a Beaumont Leys radio station and telling everybody how he's 3 years clean nearly. That's why I do what I do.
Yeah, that's massive. That's massive. And a motivator for everybody, Stuart.
I've seen a lot of salvation through the Carpenters Arms. I've seen deaths. I've seen recovery. I've seen people come in there, yeah. I've seen mothers come and hug the sons that they want nothing to do with. Yeah, I've seen kids reunited with their dads. You know, that's why we do what we do today. For the hate of addiction and the love of recovery, because, you know, like this fair, the ethos of fair, what is it? Because we have these slogans in recovery, don't we? That, you know, we do recover.
Yep.
We do recover, you know. Together we can. I don't just attach that to me, because this addict in recovery today is benefiting my son, my ex-wife, my mother, who's a widow now. You know, I look after my mum. It benefits the community, because, you know what, I'm giving back. I'm not being arrested no more.
No.
I'm not being took to hospital no more, fitting and shaking. You know what? So,
even on a financial level, that's massive. Just on a finance level alone, never mind emotional, creative, you know, family, which is, you can't put a value on it, essentially.
Everything, Jace, everything. And the way I see it, the ethos of it, when we're out on the streets and we're going to be like trying to raise money on the streets, we're not just going to be there raising money. I want to be telling the people the true nature of the illness of addiction and what we suffer from. And I want to tell them that, you know what, it ain't just me that's recovering. It's the communities, it's families. It's the nation, because it's a national problem. Addiction is a national problem.
Global one, man.
Yeah. So if I can recover, this is a bit of a Rocky film situation now. If you can change and I can change, then we all can change.
Very true.
If I can recover and he can recover, families, communities, we can all recover from addiction if we all pull together and see what it is. It's an illness. It's a plague.
I agree. And I think your poetry as well, going back to that, has been integral to your development and your recovery and other people's. Because I've seen it in action. You know, we talk about sharing the word or sharing the message. You do it creatively and through your prose and through your performance. And that in itself is a blessing. And that is a blessing to other people who witness you. You've got to be really proud, man. You've got to be really proud of yourself and the work you've done.
You know, I keep grounded. I have to, because I've still got character defects that want to run with that. I got taught a wonderful thing, because I struggle with accolades and stuff. You know, when people say, and I do struggle with it. But my old pastor taught me something beautiful, because he said, you know what, I can be like, oh, you know, I can't take it up there because it's prideful. And he said, if you take it down there, you're denying the gift. The most simple thing you've just got to do is just say thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
And on that note, Stuart, thank you.
No, thank you.
Leave it there, my friend. Make sure you send all that information over, because that was brilliant, and we'll get everything out on this broadcast, which won't be next week, the week after is the plan.
Brilliant.
Stuart,
thank you very much.
The Recovery Poet, thank you so much for taking your time and talking to us today.
Thank you, Sobar, and thank you for all the work that you do. Absolutely amazing.
And we'll be doing it again. And we will have that Do or Die Poets versus the Freedom Writers poetry
get on it.
Boom. Good for that. All right, brother, you take care. Lovely speaking to you, man. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that was Stuart the Recovery Poet, all the way from sunny Loughborough. A man of faith, a man of creativity, and a man so motivated to make a difference in his community, especially in recovery. So thank you, Stuart. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Studio House, making it happen, and Greg on sound. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks with more in-depth interviews from our Sobar social shows. Thank you.